to the Therapy for Black Girls podcast, a weekly conversation about mental health, personal development, and all the small decisions we can make to become the best possible versions of ourselves. I'm your host, Dr. Joy Harden Bradford, a licensed psychologist in Atlanta, Georgia. For more information or to find a therapist, visit our website at therapyforblackgirls.com. And while I hope you love listening to and learning from the podcast, it is not meant to be a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health professional. Hey y'all, thanks so much for joining me for session 99 of the Therapy for Black Girls podcast. I want to first give a huge thank you to Miss Kim Reese and everyone at Xavier University of Louisiana, which is of course my alma mater, for having me back on campus this past weekend to talk with the young women on campus about prioritizing their mental health. It was an amazing conversation. And next week, on March 25th, I'll be at Ohio State University speaking about mental health disparities as a part of their African American Heritage Festival. So if you're in the area, please come out and join us for that. It's free and open to the public. So I feel like I owe y'all a bit of an apology because in 99 episodes of the podcast, I haven't really gone into work that I do as a specialty, which is helping women recover from breakups. I've talked about it a little here and there, and I've definitely shared some great information when I've been interviewed for other podcasts, but I have not done a specific episode for you guys here. So that's what we will be talking about today. In all of my work, I found that there are some things that can help you to take care of yourself after a breakup. Now, I don't want you to see this as some kind of a magic potion or a magic pill, because the truth is that breakups suck big time. They're incredibly painful and sometimes messy, and the only way to really get over the pain is to go through it. But I do think that these 5 tips can help you out. So, tip number 1 for taking care of yourself after a breakup is to get a reporter. The reporter can be a close friend or a loved one who will be responsible for sharing the news about the breakup with the people that you choose. Sometimes after a breakup, it can feel incredibly overwhelming to have to continuously repeat the story over and over again to different people and to try to manage their reactions. So having a reporter to do this can be really helpful. The reporter can also tell people how much or little contact you want and whether you feel like answering any questions about the breakup at all. This person helps you to set boundaries around the breakup so that you can have some space to really do the work of grieving. So that's tip number 1, is to get yourself a reporter. Tip number 2 is to show yourself some grace and allow yourself the space to really grieve. So this will likely not be the best semester of school or the best quarter of business that you'll have, and that's okay. The loss of a significant relationship is tough, and there will be days when you feel like you're doing okay, and then other days when you don't even want to leave the bed. So make sure that you are kind and patient with yourself. Tip number 3, use your support system. Good friends who really step up after a breakup are great. You may want to do hours and hours of processing about what happened at first, so you want to find someone who can sit with you through this. If you don't have a friend who can do this, this may be a good time to consider therapy, as your therapist will help you to wade through the feelings that you're experiencing and help you to develop skills to manage them and figure out your next steps. The most important thing about your support system is that they actually support you. If they're telling you that there's a time limit on how long you get to be sad about the breakup, or if they're encouraging you to get back out there and date again before you're really ready, they may not be the best people for this situation. Oftentimes, our friends and family members can't tolerate seeing us hurt and they just want to make it better. So they say things like, "You're better off without them," or "Think of all the new people you'll get to meet now." But that's the last thing that you want to hear after a breakup, and it's really just not helpful. So if your support system can't refrain from this kind of thing, then a therapist may be a good option for getting some of that support. Tip number 4 is you want to disrupt your patterns. Much of what causes us pain after a breakup is losing the routine we had with our exes. We're used to getting a call from them every day at lunch, or spending Sunday nights with them watching Game of Thrones, or taking walks around the park on Tuesday evenings. All of it is incredibly familiar. Pattern disruption is designed to shake up your routine so that you begin to establish a new normal. If it's possible, maybe you want to move in with a friend for like a week, or you want to invite a friend to stay over with you for a while, or maybe even you want to take a trip out of town for a few days. Anything you can do to shake up the routine that you had with your ex is what we're looking for here. And then tip number 5 is to disconnect from them on social media. I know, y'all. I know this is the part that no one ever really wants to do, but it really is so important. When you are spending a significant amount of time looking at your ex's social media pages, you're doing a couple of things. One, you're very likely constructing a narrative that is both false and fantastical. For example, let's say you see your ex posting pictures on IG of a night out with friends. This might lead you down the path of thinking, see, they're out partying already. They never cared about me. They're out living their best life. They probably never even loved me. All of that was a lie. You see where this is headed? Now you spend a great deal of energy playing the what if game and only making yourself feel worse. And 2, you're setting yourself up for a very hardy case of anticipatory anxiety. A large part of why we spend so much time scoping out our ex's social media after a breakup is because we're trying to gauge how important we were to them by how quickly it looks that they've moved on. So, first, I want to caution you that the significance of your relationship can't really be gauged by what is and isn't shared on social media. But the reality of the situation is that one day your ex will move on, and so will you, even though it may not feel like that right now. But every time you check their page, you're likely holding your breath, embracing yourself for impact, stressed out about when someone new will pop up on their page. Or you're searching through their comments trying to see if someone is being flirtatious. But you know what? One day this will happen. I guarantee you that it will. And then what happens next? What does it mean that they may be dating someone new? It probably doesn't mean anything about you. And that's the whole point. None of your ex's social media behavior following the breakup may have anything to do with you. But the more time you spend looking, the less time you're spending actually focusing on yourself and dealing with the very real feelings of loss and sadness and whatever else you're feeling. And I know it's not easy, y'all. So if you can't completely cut yourself off from checking out their social media, at least try to do it less frequently until eventually it's just not something you're concerned about anymore. So, just as a recap, the 5 tips for taking care of yourself after a breakup. Number 1, you want to get a reporter. 2, show yourself some grace and allow yourself the space to grieve. 3, use your support system. 4, disrupt your patterns. And 5, disconnect from them on social media. So, what kinds of things have been helpful to you in taking care of yourself after a breakup? Please share it with us on social media using the hashtag TBGInSession. And if you have had a recent breakup or you're still struggling to make sense of your life after a breakup, be sure to grab our guided breakup journal that walks you through some very pointed questions to help you develop the clarity you need to really heal after a breakup. You can find that in our online store at therapyforblackgirls.com/shop. And I'll also link it in the show notes so that you can find it pretty easily. Remember that if you're searching for a therapist in your area, check out our directory at therapyforblackgirls.com/directory. And if you want to continue discussing this episode with other sisters who listen to the podcast, come on over and join us in the Thrive Tribe at therapyforblackgirls.com/tribe. Be sure to answer the 3 questions that are asked to gain entry. Thank y'all so much for joining me again this week. I look forward to continuing this conversation with you all real soon. Take good care.